Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about something that we take for granted in the shop, and that's light. Now today I'm specifically going to talk about headlamps because I actually started recently using one and I fell in love with it. Before I never liked to use headlamps because I thought, well, all the other installers are going to make fun of me and it looks really geeky, but it's actually really functional, and I'm going to show you why. When you're working in a shop, especially in a shop like ours, you're always underneath the dash or you're underneath the vehicle, and a lot of vehicles don't have lights underneath, or they're not designed to let us see what's in the dash because they're not pointing up. So we have to use lights in the shop to see what we're doing. Yes, it's very basic. Yes, we take it for granted, but we should talk about it today. Now, typically, a lot of us will use lights like this, a little bar light. Now, the cool thing about lights like this is this one in particular is wireless. I prefer to use a wireless one. I used to use one that I plug into the wall, and you'd always have to have extension cords. It's not worth it. Now, before we were using fluorescent bulbs, and the problem with fluorescent bulbs is when you turn it off and on, there's like a little starter to get it going, and it would bust all the time. So you wouldn't be able to turn on your light. So you have to go spend 20 to 30 bucks on a new light bulb because it's specific for the light. Now, then came in LEDs, similar to this. And a lot of people like the LED because it's low power consumption, lasts long, it's very bright. Now, depending on the light, like this one, you can see the light, individual LEDs. You might not be able to tell on camera. And people found it very directional. So this one's actually LED, and this is what I would recommend if you are going to use a light bar like this, because they actually diffuse the light, so when you're behind it, it gives you a nice even amount of light behind, and you don't have that individual LED look, and it's very similar to a fluorescent bulb. Why do I want to talk about the headlamp, specifically this one that I got from ScanGrip? It's because it makes life so much easier when you're hopping in and out of the car, and we're going to go over that later. The problem with these lights are, when you're working on underdash, a lot of us tend to lie on the floor. It's the only way to work on the car when we're doing remote starters and security systems. So this is already in the way. The other problem is, because you have to have on the floor and your head is above it, you kind of get the light shining right in your face, and it's kind of blinding. So you get snow blind every time when you're working, especially with a light like this. It's very bright. With a headlamp, it's always facing to where you're looking, so you never blind yourself and you make a lot more room in the car when you're working on it. So this product, it has two light settings. Here's dim, it goes a little bit brighter. It also has on the bottom here a little reading lamp, so that way you use less power, and let's say you're reading schematics or you're outside and you're looking at a map, or you just have to read something in the dark, then you can turn on that little guy in there. And the other thing that I like is it's rechargeable. So there's a little port over here and it doesn't take too long to recharge. That's the thing I don't like about particular products like this. You have to buy batteries. So when you're using these products every day, you're going to go through a lot of batteries in the year. You're going to spend a lot more money because you're buying that supply, and you're also throwing all that stuff in the garbage. So do yourself a favor and get something like this that is rechargeable. All right, let's just do a quick simulation on how we work on cars. So let's say we're going to do a security system or a remote starter, or we're just going to check the fuses. What do we typically have to do? You have the seat all the way back, get your light bar, we come down on the seat, and typically our bodies are here. This is just the only way typically how to work on a car on the underdash. So we're always, and you might have a couple other tools in here, so you want to keep some of the seat in a little tray so you're not marking up the fabric. But then the light, you need it down here with you. So you have to find a home for it. Hopefully it doesn't get underneath your shoulder, or sometimes, you know, it rolls in, you're like, ah, it's in my face. And it gets a little bit annoying sometimes, but this is how we've done it for years. Okay, let's do this with the headlamp now. So nothing on the floor, and come down. Oh look, I can see, so anywhere I look, I have light, I have no extra tool, it's never going to roll in my face. Yes, headlamps are nothing new, I just discovered it and I'm just sharing it with you guys of how awesome this is and how nerdy I look wearing it. One area where I really prefer a trouble light is under the hood, because you can turn it on and you can just place it in places down low so you can really inspect what's going on. As opposed to a headlight, it's only where I look, so parts on top are going to create shadows you can't really see, as opposed to having this on, you can go underneath other parts and you can light up the other areas deep down into the engine bay. Now when you're underneath underneath the vehicle, it's a lifesaver because we work on a lot, well this isn't a full frame truck, but when we do full frame trucks, we run the wire all the way from the back to the front. And you're zip tying all along the factory harnessing. So typically, you know, you're with your light, which does work really well, don't get me wrong, and then you're with the creeper and then all of a sudden you forget your light, or you're trying to figure out, you know, looking around with it. I just like using these for inspecting stuff now. That's what I use this light for. Because when I'm underneath here, let's turn this guy off, and I have this on, I can do whatever I need to, and I don't have to worry about hitting that light or anything, or grabbing it. It's just way more ergonomic working with this headlamp. Why do I prefer LED lights in general when it comes to working on a vehicle? Well, one, they don't get hot, so when you can touch it. Have you guys ever touched a halogen trouble light? Those big things that you see on work sites? They get so hot. What they are good for, though, is when you're underneath the vehicle, it creates some heat on a cold day, so it's a little more comfortable. The other reason why I like LED is because they are extremely durable because of how they're constructed. There's no filaments or anything in them, so it doesn't matter if you drop them, they get hit, smacked around, it's going to be okay, as opposed to a fluorescent bulb where it's a little bit delicate. Yes, they can be dropped, but you know, drop them enough times, like anything, it's going to break. This could break if you drop it enough times or run over it, but it's going to last a lot longer than a fluorescent bulb. Well guys, hopefully you learned something new about product that makes your life easier when you're working underneath the vehicle or underneath the dash. Now remember, I'm not saying that this guy is going to replace this guy. This still has a lot of functionality because especially when you're under the engine bay, it's going to make life a lot easier because you can tuck it down in areas where here you can't really because it's attached to your head. You could take it off, but I recommend running 2 different styles at least. But at least with something like this on a regular basis, when you're grabbing a lot of tools and you're underneath there in and out all the time, it's going to make life a lot easier. I will post in the description below where you can get this product. To see what else I'm up to, make sure to check out my Instagram, Facebook, AnthonyJ350, and check out our website at www.gofasthavefun.ca.